What's up, everybody? How's it going? Welcome back to the YouTube channel. If you're new here, my name is Bailey Canning. I'm an independent marketing strategist based in Denver, Colorado, and on today's video, I'm going to be giving you a behind-the-scenes look at a recent website build I completed. This is actually one of my favorite website projects I've done in a while because the designs came out really good, and that is fantastic because achieving a high-end look was very important to this client. The name of the company that I worked for on this website redesign was called Board and Bolt. They are a boutique custom furniture studio based in Boulder, Colorado, manufacturing custom tables, desks, vanities, bookshelves, things of that nature, and they are specifically catering to the high-end market. And so naturally we needed to create a design that was going to appeal to those high-end buyers who in many cases were looking to drop well over 10 grand for a custom piece of furniture. So naturally it was imperative that we would have a fantastic design, and I'll be sharing that with you in a second. Before we get into that, as my name is Bailey Canning, I regularly put out videos here on YouTube covering topics such as branding, web design, digital marketing. If you're interested in those topics at all, then definitely feel free to subscribe to my channel. I'm trying to do more of these behind the scenes type videos as well, detailing my day-to-day client work. Lots of exciting content coming out on the channel. Without further ado, let's get into today's video. Jumping into the screen share here, like I said, the project started with this growth marketing roadmap I do for clients. So sometimes depends on their needs and depends on the particular circumstance, but sometimes instead of doing the full website build from the start, we'll simply start with this growth marketing roadmap, which is essentially the strategy phase of the website build alongside some other marketing deliverables, which you'll see here in a second. It's a very risk-free way for both myself and the client to start the process of potentially redesigning their website. However, if we find during that process that we're not a good fit to work with one another, then no harm, no foul. There's still a lot to be learned in this engagement. I'm just gonna skim through this because there's a lot to cover here, but you can see what the agenda is. Of course, it starts with an audit of their current website so they know where they currently stand. And then we go into marketing research and discovery. That's like looking at their competitors, building out an SEO strategy, Google Ads plan, and then my recommendations. Going on down the website audit, I always start with this table, just giving my observations as neutral as I can be, and then my recommendations on what they should do, and then the impact that I believe that will have. So you can see here the different areas we were looking at in terms of their branding as in regards to their website. Here's a slide on the copy. I always make sure to stress the importance of copy to clients because at the end of the day, you can have a beautiful website, but if you don't have compelling copy that's going to incentivize people to take action, then ultimately it's just not going to be as effective as it could be from a lead generation and sales perspective. And then the next thing is client journey, basically looking at the UX effectiveness of the website. I also make sure to take a look at the website on mobile. So you can see here, unfortunately, I don't have a copy of how the website looked beforehand, but as you can see here, this was the mobile version on the bottom left-hand side here. And overall, it's very standard looking, but ultimately, if you're trying to target high-end consumers and you're trying to position yourself as a high-end boutique business, ultimately the design was not cutting it. As you can see here, this is the mobile response in this section. So I just tell the client, hey, this is where a lot of people are visiting your website, whether it's the mobile or desktop version. This is very industry specific generally. Then I also explain to them the importance of website speed, and then I give them a result on what their website looks like. Again, here you can see screenshots of what it looked like. Again, very Squarespace-esque type generic template. It was actually built on WordPress, this site, and that kind of explains the poor performance, as you can see here. And then also just running a technical audit on the website. Even though this client at the time had been working with a few different developers, ultimately it still really was not performing too well. A lot of this is technical, so I always try to bring it back to a very high level overview for clients who generally, they're not marketers, they're just business owners who excel at their craft, but they don't really know all the ins and outs of digital marketing. So I try to just explain at a very high level how the design was not serving their business, how the copy was very generic and uninspiring, and then how the technical infrastructure of the website, specifically the WordPress CMS, just wasn't allowing the client in this case to leverage their website as a true marketing machine, as I like to say. Then we get onto the digital marketing portion of this. So I basically do a thorough SEO analysis of their website so they can understand where they currently are. In this case, the website really was not producing a whole lot of organic traffic for the company. I give them a breakdown of their rankings, give them an analysis of their traffic and where it's coming from, as you can see here. We then get into competitors, so I look at their top 5 competitors, basically a list of what I find myself, but then I also, of course, ask the clients for examples of their competitors as well, and anyone they want me to take a look at. They had some decent local competitors, but no one who was really blowing us out of the water. So it was a really big opportunity, I would say, overall. And as you can see here, I then summarize that up into what the local industry looks like. Part of this, I built out an SEO sitemap. So basically giving the client a long-term game plan in terms of developing service pages to rank for bottom of the funnel keywords in their local area. I've made videos in the past on what this looks like. I will link that up here in case you want to check out what that SEO strategy entails. And then also I built out an entire content plan on the left-hand side that is SEO researched as well. So this way the client sees what potentially a content strategy would look like for their business. And that is going to be very important for ranking for top of the funnel research type queries. As you can see here, the client was also running Google Ads. Because of this, I also did audit their account so they would know how the performance is, because at the time they had someone else running the ads for them. Then here I did like a PPC opportunity report, just doing some back of the envelope math on what a potential Google Ads campaign could look like for this client. Based on all the research, I then summarized it here into this recommendations tab. And because the client was already running Google Ads in this case, what I instead recommended, which sometimes I don't, it's always very client specific, but I recommended that we actually launch the website with a one-page website build, start generating traffic from the Google Ads there. And then while we're generating traffic and generating leads, building out the rest of the website. And you can see here, phase 3, I recommended ongoing marketing like I do for all clients to get the most out of their website. Questions, I try to lighten up with a little Dwight Schrute meme. And then next steps, I basically tell them how I can send over a proposal. In this case, I did that. And then that meant basically, now that we were done with that, it was time to go into the design phase here. As followers of this channel know, we always start the design process of any new website build with the UX wireframes here. So you can see basically we're just laying out the content and the structure in a very high level manner. So there's no unique fonts, there's no colors, there's no images. Instead, we're just basically trying to align on the content and the structure of every single page we're going to have here. As you can see here, we have an about page, process, services, projects, resources, and then a consultation and contact page. The client had a lot of feedback, which is always great because I always want to make sure my clients are involved and also leverage their expertise within their own business, of course, because they know a lot more than I do in that category. Once the UX wireframes are laid out, I then get to writing the copy. I generally write all copy for all websites I build for clients. I do this because in my experience, copy and content is some of the hardest things to get from clients. And then also, generally speaking, they're not professional copywriters and they don't have a lot of experience in that domain, which is totally fine. So I just found in my experience doing this for going on 4 years now, full time, as well as just working in various different agencies, that it's best for me to just bill for writing the copy myself, and that way we get more effective copy and it gets done faster and the client doesn't need to do any work themselves, so it's a win. And then yeah, you can see here, these are the UX wireframes. Another thing we did very importantly also was focus on fonts. So I'm a big believer that fonts, when it comes to web design, are a great way to add a lot of extra design value in a very subtle way that's not going to take up a bunch of resources. Here you can see here, I picked out some different fonts that I thought would be good. So I picked out basically the headline fonts here, as you can see here, showing the client what it would look like in different areas. I also gave them a background about what the font stands for and what its history is, because oftentimes, especially in a very design focused project like this, clients really appreciate that. And then I picked out some regular fonts as well for the body to be used. We also realized that there needed to be a bit of brand strategy work needing to be done. Mainly, one, we wanted to develop a unique story that we could clearly communicate the value proposition of this company to its prospective clients in a way that was going to stand out from the local competition. And then two, the client also needed a little bit of help just narrowing in on what exactly their target audience is. So to help with that, I recommended a story brand workshop because we didn't have a bunch of time, but we did want to create a unique marketing message. So I'm going to link a video up here. I did about that a while ago, basically breaking down what that is. Highly recommend that if you're looking to create a brand strategy and a unique marketing message for your company in half a day. You could easily do it with that strategy workshop. So here's what to summarize. Basically, we identified who the hero is, what they want, their problem, and then a plan of action for this company to help them achieve what they want, namely in this case, a custom piece of furniture. Here you will see that I help the client develop client avatars, basically giving them the demographics, key purchase drivers, frustrations and fears, and then wants and aspirations, just so they have a clear idea of who their target audience is. And then we did all of this to ensure that we tailor all the copy to these types of people. And then this way we have a very compelling marketing message for everyone who's going to be checking out the website. This is one of the benefits of doing the growth marketing roadmap in my experience, because oftentimes we find a lot of additional work that needs to be done. Whereas if we had signed up for the entire website build at the start, it wouldn't have been clear. And then I would have had to go back and forth with the client and we would have to negotiate a additional deliverables and send over proposals and all that type of stuff, which no one really wants to be doing in the middle of the project anyway. So that is really one of the great benefits I found of doing this micro strategy engagement before committing to a full project. Now going on to the UI wireframes. So the client and I had a lot of discussions beforehand in terms of what design style did we want to go with. We both sent each other inspiration ideas from other websites that we both liked. And this was my first crack at it. And as you'll see, this was not at all the design we ended up going with. That's totally fine oftentimes. Usually I do get it fairly in the ballpark on round one, but in this case I didn't, which was a good learning experience for me. This was like a very earthy type design with the greens and the browns, but ultimately the client wanted to go with this more dark type look, which is ultimately pretty close to what the final build ended up being. Honestly, I would say this was definitely the right call because it really did communicate that luxury premium feeling they were going for much better than the earthy green tone section that I originally proposed. So ultimately this was 100% the right call. As you can see, we had several revisions. There was a lot of back and forth with my clients here. Sometimes it's just how it goes. It's totally fine though, of course. These are some of the other pages we ended up building out as well. Again, we first launched this homepage and then we launched the other pages. We eventually had other revisions for these pages. So as you can see, I was going with more of a yellow, but then we ended up toning it down a bit from that initial version to like the sandpaper type look with a unique texture as well, just to add some more visual interest. Over time, we eventually toned down the full blacks to go with more of a gray and then off black type gradient look in other areas, which I think just adds a lot more visual interest than pure black. All right, real quick, if you're getting value out of this video and you want to see what it would take to build a new or redesigned website for your company that looks something similar to what we're looking at today, then definitely feel free to book a free strategy call with myself. There's a link in the description of this video where you can learn a bit more about what goes on in that discussion, and you can book time directly on my calendar at a time that's convenient for you. Long story short, I will take the time to learn more about your business, its current marketing strategy, its competitors, and what your goals are in order to provide you with a digital marketing and website action plan so that you can increase website traffic, generate more leads, and ultimately sign your ideal clients. So again, link in the description if you want to learn a little bit more about that meeting. And without further ado, let's get back into the video. Let's go on to the website build now. So this is the final website as it turned out to be. As you can see here, one of the things that we really emphasized was a lot of interactions and effects, because this is something that the client really liked based on a lot of the examples that we had looked at together. So you can see there are little animations and little hover effects everywhere you go throughout this website. We have the text animating in based on this custom Webflow library I found. Also, like I've talked about in other videos here, we did the B-roll video backgrounds, which I think just really bring sites to life here, as you can see. And then we integrated this into the process section. So this is basically the process a prospective client needs to go through before they can officially sign on to a project with this company. And as you can see, we found good, cool B-roll shots that the client put together to illustrate every single step of the process. And then we also tied that in with a background change as people flip into different sections here. So I think this came out really nice. Then I also helped the client here put together a video overview of 2 minutes going over their story here. Then we have a portfolio section. People can quickly flip through the work and they can get an idea of what the client is able to produce. We have testimonials, of course. Again, we were going with the slider design. I really like the slider design because it's a very easy way to have a lot of information, but if people are not interested, it does not take a whole lot of screen real estate. It's only one section. Then we have a section here calling out the exact types of projects this client can help their clients with. So that's primarily tables, desks, vanities, accent walls, beds, things of that nature. And again, you'll notice that instead of just having a regular standard section like we easily could have here, we have this little rotating card type section. So little things like that just add a lot of design value. And then of course here, same thing with the CTA. Of course, this was all built with Webflow. It's the only tool I use to build websites. Then we have the about page. As you'll see here, we're going very like plain text, but then a full-blown image here of the team. Text continues to animate in. And you'll see here, if you look very closely, we have this rough sandpaper type texture, which plays into a lot of the wood-like furniture pieces that this client produces. We have a missions and value section, always very important to include this. And again, basically every section has a little bit of animations or effects that really make the site a lot of fun to browse through. You can see here, I'll talk about it later, but we also have a little of a marble type background here. Testimonials, they stack on top of each other. And then if the client wants to go to other areas of the website, they can do that. Let's check out the services page. As you'll see here, again, every single section has some sort of unique effect. In this case, we have the images going full blown. Then again, here we're talking about what types of projects the client can help with. And then we have more copy than you see on the homepage, just to provide people with more information. Again, we're doing the background shift as well. We have a featured work section. People can click into these portfolio projects and learn a bit more. And then we have a cool CTA with the different projects sliding in. We built out a hamburger menu as well. I don't always do this for clients, but generally when it's a very design focused business, I like to do it because I think it's very elegant. And then also, of course, with Webflow, you can build them however you want. So we have the ability here to have this nice logo of the company and then some contact information and then links out to their social. So now onto the process. And again, you'll see basically everything has some sort of unique animation. And then here we have this auto rotating slider of photos. So as you can see by now, this is really why it's become one of my favorite websites I've built. Here we're doing a horizontal scroll section, which I love to do as well, because I feel like it just breaks people out of the monotony of scrolling from top to bottom as they generally would be. And it's like they almost have to pay attention here, especially because I find that a lot of people, if they're not like on the younger side, we'll say they've never seen anything like this and they think it looks super cool. Then again, we have a section here just talking about the value proposition of the furniture. So personalized, timeless, and very high quality. FAQs, I always recommend business owners or businesses include a couple of these FAQs just to answer prospective clients' questions, because we don't want anyone to have any questions, because the more questions they have, the more likely they are to just not reach out in the first place. So basically by answering every question and making them fully aware of what the process is to look like, how much their services cost, etc., we're basically going to leave little doubt in the client's mind as to whether or not we're a good fit for them. And then again, we have a CTA section here to book a design consultation. This then leads to this interactive video ask form. Again, I think this is so much more interesting than it's a regular contact form. And it really adds a very bespoke premium feel to the website and really feels like people are making a personal connection right away, which I believe is great for the sales process. And then again, we also have a little bit more information about what's included or what people are going to learn in that initial consultation meeting. We have some more FAQs, again, just to answer any questions people might have, and then a CTA, which will take people right back to the top of the page. And that pretty much covers the build. So that concludes the case study video. I hope you found it very interesting. I hope whether you're a web designer, developer yourself, a marketing professional, or a business owner, I hope you see the potential that a website can do in terms of building a brand for your company, but then also serving as a marketing and lead generation tool. I actually hadn't taken a look at that website in a few weeks at this point, and honestly, I forgot how awesome it was with all the animations and effects. Basically, every single section has a little bit of an animation or some sort of effect or some sort of interaction that really just brings the site to life and makes it so much better than the rest of the competition. My goal with clients working on a website project like that is that even if their prospective clients are going to be considering multiple different local businesses in their area for, in this case, a custom furniture type project, we want to build a website that looks so awesome that the client feels obligated to reach out to them, because they would feel like an idiot, quite frankly, if they didn't, because the website just looks so cool. Also, many of my clients do come from the design industry. So whether that's going to be architecture firms, interior design firms, custom furniture studio examples like the one we looked at today, it is imperative for these types of companies to invest in their website and have an awesome online presence, because if they don't, then that speaks very negatively to the product that they ultimately provide to their clients. But if they do, then it really just speaks volumes about how importantly they value design, and it really sets the standard for what clients can expect from them. I hope you got a lot of value out of this video. I hope you learned something. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to leave a comment and I will get back to you. Otherwise, I'm going to be putting out a lot of other case study content in the future. Also going to be putting out behind the scenes types videos like I said as well. So again, subscribe. I would love to see you back in these videos. Drop a comment and introduce yourself, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.